or nuclear power plants or specially governed areas. So, oh, really? Because we thought this is only an internet research agency. So thank you, security guard, for sharing that information. So then, after we came away, we made stories also in English because it was internationally interesting topic and new topic. And we realized soon, as the spring went on, that someone was agitating an anonymous Facebook event in which they would invite people to come and protest the YLE troll factory. So YLE is the Finnish broadcasting company who operates along the Finnish regulations and laws and journalistic ethical guidelines and all that, and has professional journalists working there, and majority of Finns trust us because we are a trustworthy organization. But according to these trolls organizing this protest, we were the actual troll factory. And these guys were agitating people to participate in coming basically to harass the YLE troll factory journalists and to wave signs showing the crimes of the YLE troll factory bosses and journalists. So this actually then caused some security precautions to be made. Then, so of course my harassment, the meme making about me, and crowd stalking on Twitter and on Facebook and on blogosphere was ongoing throughout all this time. In April 2015, when I still hadn't yet published my investigation on the influence of the trolls, someone sent me to my private phone number a text message pretending to be my father, who actually had been dead for 20 years. So this guy or girl basically showed me that I am being monitored and that everything, my private information, can be dug out and to use against me. And in this message, he or she also says that he's basically monitoring me. So in this case, I realized there's just, no sense in any of this, and they also just want to use all psychological means they can to attack me. And interesting thing was also that my father's last name is not the same as my name, but they still knew it, even though my father was not in any way a public figure. Here are some of the stupid comics they would make about me. I also made these smaller articles, and they would, in a factory kind of style, make these and send them to me, and put stupid bubbles in my mouth, which I never said. So here, finally, I made a series of stories, which was also published not just in Finnish, but also in Russian and in English. I found out many troll techniques and many sources of trolling, as well as the influence. So some Finns told me that they started to be afraid of the trolls. They started to detach themselves from any public discussions, for example on Twitter or on Facebook, concerning Russia issues, because if they would voice out their opinions, then trolls would come after them and harass them and call them names such as fascist, Russophobe, Nazi, or even threaten to kill them. So some people even told me that they have stopped using social media altogether. So it had already at that time had implications in the freedom of speech, just like I had anticipated. Also, some Finns told me that they had lost idea what is true and what is not true. There is too much troll disinformation and propaganda being spread, for example, about the Ukrainian crisis and war, so they don't know what's really true anymore. The trolls were spreading messages, following the messages of Russian state media, saying, for example, that Ukrainian leaders are Nazis and fascists, USA was the one to blame for the Ukrainian bloodshed, and all that. And in my humble opinion, the worst influence, the worst effect was that I saw people turning into propagandists. So unfortunately, part of the population is vulnerable to this stuff. So when they become subjected to propaganda and fake news, they start to believe in them and sharing them further. I also listed some of the international and Finnish sites which had really active and organized style Russian troll activity. And I also attached to my list of really horrible pro-racist, pro-hate speech, neo-Nazi worshipping, pro-Kremlin fake news site called What the Fuck Paper. At that time, What the Fuck Paper was known mostly to harass and go after refugees, even individual asylum seekers, and to frame them all as terrorists and rapists, but they also posed a pro-Kremlin view, and they also translated Russian state-controlled media's propaganda articles into Finnish, being the only online outlet doing that in the Finnish information space. And they also had Russian troll problem, a really bad one, and they still have it at that time. So they started to revenge as well. Here also some YouTube operations, so these troll activists who are very, very vigorous in what they're doing. Here they have some actress playing me, and again repeating the original propaganda lines and accusations about me. The point of propaganda is always to repeat it so many times that it actually molds your brain, and the one who is accepting it, who is reading it, actually starts to believe even in part of it. So here they made a song, a mocking song, and a YouTube video, and teasers of the YouTube video. And thank you, Facebook. Facebook also sold them visibility for them to market this trash to an even bigger audience. Here, What the Fuck Paper, which operates not only in Finnish but also in English and in Russian languages. Some of their activists actually went through old court files in city of Hyvinkää, where I was born and raised, and found that I had received a 300 euro fine for drug use for a crime that I did in 2002. And they made it into this. And not just this, but they also contacted my bosses and asked why do they employ drug addicts. And they also took screen caps or photos of the conviction, which even showed my private information concerning in which rehab centers, in which hospitals I had been in treatment for my drug problem in the beginning of 2000. So now when you Google me, you will get that information. It used to be my private health data, but it's not anymore. Also, they stalk the conferences where I go to, and they publish disinformation, and they also smear anyone who supports me publicly. That's really interesting. Here is just tip of the iceberg of the fake news stories and field stories that they have done. These were mostly originally in Finnish, but I translated them for you in English so you can get a better idea. And the problem is, again, some people believe in this. I have my own former friends from my teenage years who approached me, tell me that because I'm such a horrible terrorist supporter, they want to kill me. Here, just show it's a pattern. Whenever I publish something, they publish something horrible, even in Deutsch. Here I also have some, physical stalkers who also follow me in Helsinki. They are also contributors of RT, former Russia Today, the international Russian propaganda media, and writers of What the Fuck Paper. So they follow me, film me, and make field stories. Here, just to show what they do with the search engine optimization. When you Google my name in Finland, it's really nasty. You will not find any of my proper research. You will not find my original articles. You will find trash. Here, they also do not only attack journalists or, civic activists or people who promote human rights or priests. They also attack the police who tries to investigate the suspected crimes that they are committed in. Here, we have various different kinds of police who also became targets. And I just read from the news some time ago that one online police had to actually move into other position because the trolls and attackers had started such a vicious hatred campaign against him. Oh, by the way, they also attack officers of the Finnish army. They also stalk them on social media and make filth articles about them. And yeah, what happens in cybersphere, in cyberspace, does not stay in cyberspace. Here, What the Fuck paper was actually promoting a suspected serial criminal as the president of Finland. They had a protest camp 3 months in the center of Helsinki, which then ended up with police interference. And here how this RIS, do you remember the fake research agency I told you about, was actually connected to the plot against hacking and trolling of the US elections in 2016. In 2017, Reuters found out that it was RIS who was at least partly in charge of the whole design of the trolling and fake news campaign against US elections. So what seems to be just happening somewhere in Finland can be actually something very international. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica.